Today, we're going to go through some funny stuff, some deadly serious stuff, some everyday stuff, and poetry for me, any moment can turn into an insight, like the one I'll read about the squirrel. Any moment can lead you to an understanding of yourself or somebody else, if you're alert, if you're awake. Probably I'm asleep half the time, otherwise I'd have 10,000 poems. But once in a while I catch the poem as it swims by. It's like fishing. Okay, I was going to start with a couple easy little, let me get rid of this candy, sort of appetizer type poems. My new book's called Smorgasbord, Food for Thought. And there's a lot of different things in it, so I just said it's a smorgasbord. Tried to organize it into some sections: appetizers, main dish is Florida, then there's the wife, and other things. So I'll warm you up with a couple. It's a two-liner with the title 3. Honey Money, she's legal and tender, and he wants to spend her. She's legal and tender, and he wants to spend her. Okay. Getting warmed up.
I like that one.
Yeah.
You have any limericks?
Let's get dirty. I do have a few, but no. Limericks tend to be written by inebriated people and overboard. The fisherman sleeps next to his wife, dreaming of catch and release.
Oh.
The fisherman sleeps next to his wife, dreaming of catch and release. Let's see. Okay. Now, most of you here are retired and you've gone through what I call the rite of passage to get from working to retirement. And this poem is called Rite of Passage. Time to retire, to relocate, to downsize, to sift through the basement, attic, and garage, to fork through decades of accumulation, winnowing the chaff from the wheat of our lives. Winnowing the chaff from the wheat of our lives. So you're there in the garage, decide, is this worth keeping or is this worth throwing away? That's your rite of passage to Otto. Oh gosh, where did that? Oh, it's here. Okay, so for the seniors here, I pulled one from my next book called None But the Brave. You can't be a coward to go into your senior years. You cannot be.
Yeah, you're right.
You better figure it out. Give the aged seniors their medals of honor and grant them a gripe or two. For old age, it seems, is not for the faint of heart. Routinely, many scale mountains of pain, conjuring their limbs to rise every day, like Lazarus, out of impossible beds and chairs. Funny, but not. Right, Paul? Funny, but not. For again and again, mostly unnoticed, they regularly perform miracle after miracle, sometimes struggling mightily just to ascend a few simple steps. And that's not the half of it. For they, you, we also witness friends and loved ones regularly succumbing one by one. So I ask, who can best hobble forward into this ever-growing uncertainty and unavoidable finale? Certainly none but the brave. Yeah.
Pay attention.
Don't trip. Here's another thing. Yeah, as you get older, you tend to think of things in the last. Like, is this my last year? And, am I going to make it through this month? Things happen, and you wonder, is this the last time I'll see my kids? Or whatever it is. And so this poem's called The Last Poem, in quotes.
He
Last
can
in
be
quotes.
depressing, can't he?
So I was writing this poem and I said, where the hell is it? The last poem is not this one. At least I don't think so. But for sure, the days are now filled with more lasts than firsts. One son recently texted that his son just had his first haircut. And I reflect that I am closer to my last. Same son moves out of his first home. I'm pretty sure I'm likely in my last. With my last and first wife, driving a new but likely last car. I can't help but sometimes wonder just when is to be the last year, last month, last breath, the end of my history. No hurry, mind you. I'm in no rush to know, no rush to go. Meanwhile, I'm racking up all the lasts I can. I seek to enjoy every ice cream, every barbecue, as if it's my last. And likewise, every intercourse, every discourse, my hunger for life endures and is honed, for you never know when you'll get deboned. Bordering on the cliche, I tell myself, live every night and day, play every game of pool, and write every poem as if it's your last say.
You don't really feel it. You really feel like everything is your last, do you?
Well, it's nice when I think of that, because then I can invest myself. This could be my last poetry reading. Who knows?
I hope not.
All right, here's a, I learned a lot from nature, and when I'm sitting there, something happens, it clicks in my brain, I start writing, and then I end up in a certain place of insight, enlightenment, whatever, and I try to capture it in a poem. This is one I wrote up in Long Island, as I was being terrorized by squirrels. Acorns, a hard lesson. This past winter, my backyard took on the appearance of a battlefield. Grass uprooted, scarred throughout with little trenches from the incessant foraging of squirrels, ferreting out the undertrodden acorn, endlessly looking for the stashes of their peers, both real and imagined. My turf, now an unrecognizable shadow of its former self. My tender summer labors disrespected and overturned, I fume. My feelings toward these tree rats ebb and flow, and at their nadir, appalling myself, I ponder the use of poison bait. I consider purchasing a BB gun. While other more merciful moments, I wonder about installing humane traps and transporting them afar, or just getting a dog to keep them at bay. But more recently, when sanity gains sway, I think of a truce and wonder if these creatures be God-inspired, furry friends telling me that it's time to feverishly put away acorns for the fast approaching winter of my life. So, I went from hating these squirrels to realizing you could be doing me a favor. Make me think about something I need to think about. So, here's another nature poem. I like to go for bike rides up on some dirt trails around about here. And it's the real Florida where the alligators come onto the levee bank and you're wondering, can I make it past him before he realizes I'm coming? Stuff like that. But here's one guess I was a little, sometimes your mind is moving too fast for your life and you're anxious and you need to settle down. Well, I go to nature to have that done. So it's titled, I'm Watching You, Great White Heron. Your smooth, measured stride, now frozen in place. Neck and head cocked, ready to strike. You slowly stalk the vast, wet prairie, amidst a chorus of chirping frogs, epitome of persistence and patience. You have all day if need be. Yes, I too have time, and I've chosen to observe you, whereupon a lulling calm gradually overtakes my restless heart, my days slowing down to your sane and measured pace. Yeah, you come back a little mellow. So I have a lot of poems in this book for many years, and I started collecting them in January. I said, all right, I gotta come out with another book. And then, was it February? Later January, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So that blew me off course for a bit. I was scrambling to come to terms with that and scrambling to research what kind of treatment I should have and doctors to talk to about it. And then we got into the treatment thing, and by July that was over, but meanwhile the book had stopped. And I had started writing down some thoughts about the cancer here and there. Then I realized, oh, that could be a poem. I said, this cancer is turning into poetry. And so in the middle of wanting to write this, I ended up at the end of the treatment realizing I could put together a little book called A Poet's Cancer Journey. And I think it's really helpful for people because it goes through that initial, you're knocked off your feet, you're trying to regain your balance, you're wondering, am I gonna make it or not make it? How serious is this? You know, the whole thing, because cancer is a scary word. So anyway, this goes through the various stages of that process. And I decided the best way to fight it was with music, listening to music every day, humor, watching whatever on TV, comedians, and also spending time with my grandson. Because my grandson he's just laughter incarnate. He knows the joke when he could see it coming a mile away, and he can make it himself. He's only 3. And so here's a couple of poems from the book. I'd love to read the whole thing, but I'm going to keep the show moving. So this is a little after being diagnosed. My prostate neighbor, you've moved in, unquestionably, an unworthy squatter, too close for comfort. I do declare, you will be evicted. Kicking, screaming, maybe in a body bag, whatever, one way or another. I've contacts in the medical mafia. Docs waiting to snuff you out by cyber knife, by chemicals, by radiation gun. One way or another, you're going down. Removed from my hood, my town.
Very good.
A lot of people get the cancer and they don't come out on top, but I didn't care to think about not making it. And I thought, even if I go down, I'm going down swinging if I can. So that's my thing. So many good poems here. This is fun. You know how the machine kind of arcs around and zaps you as you lie on the table? It's a big, beautiful machine surrounded by 6-foot concrete walls. So much radiation is coming off the bastard. Anyway, akin to the sun, rising and setting, radiation arcs over my prostate. I bask in it. Though I know I'm getting sunburned in places neither you nor I can see.
Can't see.
A couple more.
Should be louder.
Louder?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know. Somebody back there is supposed to go.
We're supposed to have a mic and it didn't work. So.
That's okay. This one called surveillance toward the end of the treatment. Soon these treatments will be over. Your visa revoked. I like to talk to the cancer as like a person incarnate, and that's how I'm going to deal with it. Something separate from myself. A muted celebration will take place, as there's no telling what you, cancer, are up to. You like to sequester in obscure places, to travel to distant locales. We'll be watching for you as you play your sick game of hide and seek. Meanwhile, I'll be playing games of my own with my grandson. That was half my cure, hanging out. You don't know the cure, but they keep monitoring you.
Thank you for being young.
I think that was a poem right there.
The young legs and the young back.
Just jump right up. Amazing. We're going. I'll read two more from this. Two enigmas. Cancer, I can't figure you out. In fact, no one can. Your game is death. Your halftime show is death. Your end game is death. You have no Sabbath, no vacation, no days off. You're a deathaholic. Oddly enough, you have nothing to live for. What a bore. For no matter what happens, you too inevitably die. Meanwhile, as for me, I am your enigma. For even if you later circle back for an encore, sometime after the radiation, trying to kill me yet once again, perhaps even succeeding, you will find I have already won. For at almost 74, my mission is accomplished. I have children and grandchildren, who too will have children, and I will live on in them. So cancer, stop wasting your time and mine. You've clearly bitten off more than you can chew. And the last one, just because it's humorous and fun. I'm waiting to go in for my last treatment. I'm a little early because I don't want to be late, so I early sit in the car listening to some music. It's not the last radiation treatment. Prostate of fire, a controlled burn of sorts, yet rectal and urethral hinterland scorched. Then Adele comes on the radio. Let it burn. Oh, let it burn, let it burn. Meanwhile, I pray for rain. Keep the show moving. Plenty of time. People, you can leave anytime and you can stay longer if you like. I have a few about the wife. And a couple cross over the line, which I'm not going to read here, and you can get the book and read them on out. Okay? Let's see.
Oh, come on, read it.
Buy a book. The flower. God, she looks so good. In that silky, color bright dress, like a flower that I must pollinate. That doesn't cross the line.
No, that's
But it's good. This one is just written 15 years ago or something. Secret of a long marriage. And it's even longer now, isn't it? Yes, fight and clash, and we do. Like gladiators, it's unavoidable. Then play with matches, make a raging fire. In fact, burn the house down as often as you can. Get that one as often as you can. Let's see what else. I might have some more wife thing here. She has a way of showing up in a lot of poems. It's hard to get her out of it. She's a little
Kind of a big part of your life, right?
She's a bit bushy too. You know? I'm going to read one here from one of my daughters. She knows who she is, and I hope she's not embarrassed because it's a love poem.
Oh.
Irresistible. And this was when she was a teenager. She asked me why I'm looking at her. She asked me not to stare. I can't help myself. She doesn't understand my explanation. I don't understand her reservation. She leaves the room. Now I can't even talk to her. Yes, I'm guilty of staring, peeking, gazing, glancing. But shouldn't she understand? For I do the same with birds, trees, and clouds. In fact, I am transfixed by all things beautiful. And she, of all objects, flesh of my flesh, stunning, striking, blossoming, Elvis teenage daughter, gave it away. Like nothing I've ever seen or imagined before. And for this I should apologize? Hell no. Heaven no. No way. Not today. Forget about it. I've got several bagel ones in here. Nothing's like the bagels on Long Island. I don't know. I was hooked. We have that one too. 4 people or 5 people here from Long Island, so.
They know.
Woo. They know who they are. But the rest of you don't. So there's this. It's Long Island Southern State Parkway. Now, I don't know. Everybody is, well, most everybody is commuted to and from work, except for this new generation that can sit at home and commute on the computer. But you do a lot of commuting, and one day I'm going along, everybody else is going 60 miles an hour. We're over the speed limit, and everybody's nervous. Everybody wants to get home because they just had 8 hours of work, and you know, it's like, and so I'm driving along, and I had this vision of being in a herd of gazelles in Africa. And then I wrote the poem, not then, but when the car stopped later.
You must be a danger on the road.
I am. I'm afraid of things up on my face. Gazelles. Like gazelles, we race along our well-traveled way, day after day. Speeding on, hitting the gas, is what we do best, for life gives us little rest. Who knows when his day is coming, which is why we can't stop running. We know a lion is out there, hidden behind bushes and trees, waiting to pounce and bring us to our knees. And thus we play the odds, that we won't fall prey, dashing along our way, hesitating to utter a word. Believers in statistics, we understand the safety of the herd. We race on life's highway, occasionally looking askance at the unfortunate Chevy Impala who couldn't prance, who made a blooper, his metal bones now being crunched roadside by a state trooper. That's kind of what you're afraid of as you're dashing home. The trooper, where's the trooper, and where's the mad guy who wants to go faster than me? another driving poem. So, we all drive along and we get irritated at other drivers and sometimes we curse them. Hey, what kind of idiot is that? And you're looking to see if the idiot's in front of you or behind you. You're on the road. You don't know what's going to happen. Here's one. What a fool looks like. A vehicle is driving like a snake, venomously swerving lane to lane, darting in and out. A deadly menace for sure. Then my lane ahead opened up. I was curious to see what a fool looked like. So I floored the gas, pulled up alongside, turned my head, and to my surprise, the effing guy looked a hell of a lot like me. Yeah, probably to have caught up with him, I had to become a fool for a moment. I gotta do one for the bagel shop, and also for Buddha at the same time. You wanna know how they come together, Buddha and a bagel shop? I'll tell you right now. Okay. I used to go regularly, you get your Buddha, you get your bagel and your coffee, and you sit there for a while watching people. From where do they come? These gorgeous women that pour into this bagel shop in an endless stream of divine hips, legs, breasts, flowing hair, and glowing faces. And look, also, handsome, virile young men, bent over seniors, and the not-to-be-forgotten, sleepy, homeless lady monopolizing a corner table. They too all have a beauty, polished and unpolished. I ask myself, who are these vibrant, self-undiscovered, anonymous souls, going to work, to school, to off-track betting, and Bed, Bath, and beyond? Buddha's in waiting. They move unaware of their inner divinity, their splendor lying unexcavated. And as many times as I have come to this shop, why didn't I see this in them before? Was I too among the blind? Has my heart chakra just now finally blossomed? So thank the warm bagels, and thank the ever-patient Buddha for finally smiling on me.
When you read your poetry, does it take you back to when you wrote it? Does your mind go back?
Yeah, I was thought of that section of the Southern State Freeway where the guy was getting crunched. Poor guy. I don't know. Even when I was a teenager, I became suspicious of the media and the newspapers. And then when I met my spiritual teacher, Reverend Moon, I also became even more suspicious because they said things that weren't true. And I just went on my life, and I just thought, I can't listen to the news, I just turned the news off a long time ago. And my wife, who has some journalism degree and experience, she said, oh, the way the media works is, if it bleeds, it leads. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
If they blow up, they're going to be on the news.
Yeah.
If they get blown down, they're going to be on the news. If they die on a highway, they'll be on the news.
The worse
So,
it is, yeah.
this is a bit of a protest against that style of focus. We'd like to hear some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We need to know the bad things that are happening, but how about some good things? So, a call for real news. Enough fake news, sad news, blue news. I'm no news junkie. Don't want your dope. Your breaking news is breaking my heart. I want a fix of hope. To see someone make it across the tightrope. To hear the non-guilty getting out of jail. Tell me of schools being built in poverty zones and less of everyone's erogenous zones. Let's hear about the giveaways, the grants, the grace, the gratitude. No more in your face. Bring on the... Huh? All Including the wife.
It's fine.
Bring on the daredevil acts of charity. Tell me of heroic flights to the stars. Stories of medics volunteering behind bars. Tell me about Musk and his many dreams, including the colonization of Mars. Let's hear of animal rescues, random acts of kindness. Tell us of how hard it is to keep goodness down, to keep humanity in an eternal state of frown. Tell me the story of the abandoned dumpster baby who becomes a multimillionaire. And that happened. I know you're out there. Send your snoops to get the real scoops. And while you're at it, don't be afraid to mention God and spell it with a capital G. And grant him, her, a few really big headliners. I want and demand a balanced report, the other side of the story, and something less gory. What's wrong with a mother's heroic labors? How about a dose of something that doesn't make me comatose? I'm tired of your spins. Tell us about some challenged one who wins, of a paraplegic who heroically smiles despite the pain of just simply getting out of bed again and again. All right, let's see. I think I'm going to wrap it up for Smorgasbord, which claims the end of Poet's Cancer Journey. I'm going to read a couple from this book, Remembering Father. It's about Reverend Moon. There's a section in there. And it's also about the Reverend Sun Myung Moon, that notorious guy from the not too distant past. And then here in this book, I have my whole life's spiritual journey from in high school to college to later years, just lessons I learned and insights I've gained. But I'm going to start with one for the Reverend Moon, because I always promised I would vindicate his name and the abuse he got. And it's so easy for media, for politicians, for people to go after somebody else and try to get a reputation or whatever. I don't know what they're doing. But it's a story we see out in human history, whether it was with Jesus or Socrates or Galileo or somebody who's trying to move people forward in some respect. They come down on them, can come down on them hard. So this is from the point of view of a bigot, person who hates their moon, but it's the universal bigot, the person who's always there in history, trying to get somebody, bring them down, and then thinks that it happened, thinks that they did it. They don't know that Jesus rose again, and you can't keep a good man down, but they try.
Amen.
Got him. This is that big guy after the sentencing of Reverend Moon. They finally got him, that troublemaker, that law-breaking corrupter of our youth, that gate-crashing heretic, that brainwashing tax evader, that morally decadent masquerader. The trial's over. He's sentenced. They're dragging him off to a place of no return. Expunge his name, forbid it be spoken in this our promised land. Good riddance to that some young Socrates, Jesus, Galileo Moon. May his rise beyond the waning. May he, like those others, never be seen again. Anyway, that doesn't scary. I don't think anybody's coming after you, right?
Hope not.
Especially if you don't speak up. All right, so when I moved to Long Island in '99, eventually I got into the poetry scene there. And it's a big poetry mecca. It's the home of Walt Whitman, and there's just a lot of people. You can't throw a cat without bumping into a poet on Long Island. And so I said I'd enter into this famous poetry contest they had there. And I never even attended the readings or anything at that time. But little did I know the poem would get first prize.
Louder,
Pardon?
louder.
Oh, little did I know the poem would get first prize. So, I think I surprised a lot of the regulars who thought they knew what the competition was. It's like a horse race. I think you know the other horses, and some horse comes up out of the rear you never seen before, and you win the race.
Yes.
So, on the surface, it sounds like it's about trees and wood, but of course it's about people and humanity. Titled Amnesia. An axe swings, toppling trees, to be milled into boards, posts, rails, and planks, transported to a distant destination where they meet again as studs, plywood, decking, shingles, trim, and casing. The crown molding, imagining itself better than the ordinary joist. The high-end cabinet, believing itself superior to the simple wall studs from which it hangs. Now, pitiful strangers, having forgotten the common tree from which they all came. That's it. And a few years later, I entered a contest again and got second place for this poem. If I can find it. Yeah, we had a couple of friends that lived in Douala, Cameroon, and they got robbed by some thieves who left them, who didn't harm them, besides material goods. And it made me think of Merciful Bandits. So the title of this is Merciful Bandits. And it came like a prayer. Dear God, we thank you for merciful bandits, for ones that draw knives and not blood, for ones that rob wallet and pocketbook, leaving us otherwise intact. We thank you for the gentle way of the Bernie Madoff gang, for the gunless thugs of Wall Street, for advertising execs and their smooth-talking ripoffs, for the bandits of Douala, Cameroon, who, although taking all our friends had, left them to live another day. We thank you for softening bandit hearts. And furthermore, we pray their redemption be swift, bloodless, but not necessarily painless. For how else are they to learn compassion? Bloodless, but not necessarily painless. For how else are they to learn compassion?
Yes.
Okay. So
That's a good one.
that's I think
That took some thinking.
just clicked. It just clicked. Let me jump into this one, Sleepless in Jerusalem. And I went there to Israel 4 times in 3 years on some peace missions with a clergy group and a Middle East Peace Initiative group. And sometimes I stayed there 40 days. I had a lot of very, very intense experiences with Israelis who could embrace Palestinians and who couldn't stand them, and Palestinians who didn't like Israelis, and Palestinians who loved everybody. I met all kinds of people there, and I had all kinds of experiences. And this poem is full of that, where I challenge Christianity, I challenge Jewish people, and I only challenge people who are my friends. And sometimes you lose a friend if you challenge them a bit too much. I met, while I was there, you need someone who met someone who directs you to someone who directs you to someone. You say, I'm here for a peace rally or something. Oh, I know someone who does that. I ended up finding a group called the Parents Circle. And I had never heard of them. And it might be a little rough for me getting through this poem because these parents are Israeli parents, Palestinian parents. Now, you know, within Israel itself, almost 30% of the population are Palestinians who are just Israeli citizens. And most people don't realize that. So, there was this group with Palestinian mothers who had lost children by Israeli violence. And there were Israeli mothers who lost children due to Palestinian violence. And they had come together to make a group. We don't want this anymore for anybody. And they met and made friends with the others. You know, imagine looking into the eyes of the person. Somebody from their group killed your son. Somebody from your group killed one of their sons. So it's very, very intense people in that meeting. I went to one meeting with them, and I never seen people with that kind of formidable spirit and courage to
Did
look.
you feel safe when you were in that group?
Oh, yeah. They weren't there to hurt each other. They were there to try to help each other through the pain.
Okay.
And they were there for the sake of that not happening again. And this is their poem, and I speak from as if I was one of them. One of them was talking. And they are the children. They are gone, irretrievably gone, like day swallowed by night, like dust taken by wind, gone to salt in our veins. They were killed by folly, by hateful intent, by mistake, by blindness, by Israeli, by Palestinian. No matter how, no matter now, no matter by who, for they are gone, gone to where no one comes back. But still, we cannot forget them. Every time night comes, we are swallowed by grief. Every time the wind blows, we are reminded. Every time our hearts beat, the salt stings as it courses through our veins. Only mutual, unspeakable emptiness remains, and of this we choose to speak. We are the parents of darkness, dust, and salt, transcending race, religion, and nation. We are the common denominator of all suffering, and we forbid you to perpetrate hate in their sacred names, and we forbid you to kill the child of yet another parent. You who would enlarge this circle, cease and desist, for you have not the blessing of the night, the wind, or the salt, and none of us, or God, the author of life, both sacred and mundane. It's very intense.
Wow.
That book has some intense stuff, but that's probably the most. Yeah, I made those trips in 2003, 2007, and there was some hope then, maybe foolish, that bridges could be built and reconciliations could happen, but not enough was done, not enough momentum gained, not enough people involved, and the fault of everybody, in my opinion. But, good to go. I started off, when was this book written? Let's see. All right. I put my first little book together in 2001 called Toward a Nation Not Yet Born. And I had in mind a place where mankind could live that we haven't yet seen on Earth. Very hopeful, very optimistic. But this book and the following book have an invented character whose name is Hafiz. Hafiz was a poet from the 13th century, a Persian poet, a Sufi. That area of the world is now Iran. And Hafiz was kind of interesting because the mullahs, the clerics, did not like him because he broke the mold. They were strict, authoritarian, whatever, however mullahs are. And he was like, he's talking about God, but he's saying, you don't need a mullah to find God in a way. And he was saying, basically, God is your friend. All his poems, he's talking to God like he was his neighbor. And it's so intimate. And so, anyway, I read some of his poetry. I got deeply connected to him in his spirit. And I wrote a book with this character, Hafiz. But he's also somebody who I wanted to become, somebody who sometimes I was. And he's also an embodiment of a friend of mine who I met there in Israel. And the kind of goodness that he did. So, I'll read a couple from you. And Hafiz's book. His breath may be bad, but his words like a spring breeze. His back may be bent, but his soul is straight. His hair may be gray and his teeth yellow, but underneath he's an extraordinary fellow. Hopefully you'll soon discover and regret that you've judged Hafiz by his worn cover. Yeah, that goes for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Read a couple of these. I don't know if this gets a little. It's interesting, you know, people are looking for happiness, going wherever to find it. Maybe a poetry reading, I don't know. But happiness can be elusive, but this poem is about, it's always right here, right now, if you're ready for it. So this is called the address of where love and happiness is. This love, and Hafiz is speaking in all these poems. This love, this happiness that you seek, you ask where it is, as if hidden. You wonder whether to turn right or left, to open or close your eyes. You wander across yonder ocean, down empty alleys, into upscale coffee lounges, and gaze at distant stars, uncertain, unsure, asking how, when, and where. Now, whoever you are, wherever you are, listen carefully as Hafiz speaks. Be still. You already know where to go, straight to the heart of the intersection of everywhere and now. I thought it was profound at the time. I still think it's profound, but I forget about it most of the time. Here's one. This Hafiz does everything in this book. And here he says, one's called Hafiz doesn't go to funerals. Hafiz doesn't go to funerals because someone has died, but because someone alive needs comfort and warmth. He goes hoping to replace the face of a dead one with that of the living. He goes because grief, more than happiness, needs a friend. Because grief, more than happiness, needs a friend. So he goes to these strange places and does these strange things. Let me see. I'll read one from this other kind of Hafiz book. What language do you speak? And I have the word love written in a dozen languages, but the languages of love is what Hafiz is about. The title poem, What language do you speak? Hafiz is not disturbed that he is monolingual and insists it is not a limitation. He says, of the many languages spoken by man, the sad thing is, they all ring with the sound of Babel. Thus, he has determined to return to the mother tongue, the language of love. Come, Hafiz, mutter a few syllables, start the babble like a baby. Then I'd like to jump back and read a couple more in the first book. Love's language. After years of apprenticeship, Hafiz and his wife are slowly mastering the language of love. Way too slowly, but. In the morning, he speaks in fresh brewed coffee. In the evening, with back and foot massages, switching occasionally to the dialect of flowers. He is disarming her with a smile, watering her with poetry and laughter. She has learned to respond in fresh, laundered, carefully folded garments, cooking him speechless with passionate pasta. She cleaning the house, he tending the yard. Ah, the language of love, so simple, so easily overlooked. One, not even needing words. One, not even needing words.
That's good.
I don't know which stuff, there's so much stuff. Now, I'll read a couple more from this one, this latest one, then we'll call it an end. I had a couple marked. See. Oh yes. Let me find that one. I don't think I marked it, but I'll find it. Thanks for your patience. Yeah. This is one honoring Jesus. I was driving down the road. I thought I saw a creche up ahead, but it wasn't. Not a creche. From a distance, I swore it was a roadside creche, but soon found it to be a large wooden box, turned on its side, full of logs, split and sawn for sale, and it made me think that his life was not unlike firewood. Years in the making, similarly cut and toppled, arguably before the fullness of its time, but not without passionately burning. The awesome coals, 2,000 years plus, thereafter, still radiating warmth and light, still radiating warmth and light. I'll just grab a random one and we'll be done. Random poem. Random poem, which one are you? Yeah, we went to the Philippines for a couple of years once, the entire family, and doing a mission for this Family Federation for World Peace, working with marriage and family blessings. And I wrote a couple of poems there. You ever wake up in such a strange place? You had no ruler? You ever wake up in a strange place and you have no ruler to measure it by? You have no compass to know what direction you're going? This is called alienation or alien nation. You know, I'd worked many years getting up with the alarm clock and all this stuff, and jumping in the car. And in the road. This place was entirely different. And there was none of that going on. So, alarms, timetables, neckties, and deadlines I once left in my wake. Man on a mission, waking in your faraway land, month after month, to roosters, to squealing pigs, amoebic water, burning roadside garbage, and hungry people in flip-flops. Now, years later, back home, still baffled by how so many millions could live in makeshift shacks with just the shirts on their backs, with no voice, so little choice, without schedules, wardrobes, and money, yet still daily finding a smile, singing songs and dancing. People in the West are just bitching and complaining.
Yes.
Crazy, man, crazy.
We all need to go there and see that.
Yes, I think it was helpful for
It would.
my children to spend a little time there and realize instead of fighting over the sofa, which chair to sit in, you didn't have any sofas over there. You had the plastic chairs.
Yeah. Or dirt.
So, here's one other one, I'll just one. So, I'm on a Philippine track, I'll read one more. Roadside cash. You know, when you go along those roads, they're a little bumpy. We were passengers traveling along a provincial third world road, one pocked with holes of varying shapes and sizes. Our spanking was relentless. Such roads are known to take their toll, and the car, after a while, not surprisingly stopped its roll. Carried by momentum onto the road's trash-laden shoulder, we watched our driver get out and through the garbage shuffle about, returning with a piece of something that could take the place of a broken part. The hood was opened, he performed his work of art, and after a little commotion, the car was back in motion. I then carefully took mental note that one man's trash is to another man roadside cash. Thank you very much. We have a few books there if you want to look at them or buy one. That's all. You want to say anything? Wife is speechless? That's unusual.
We want to hear your poem now. We want to hear your poem.
I don't write poetry, I just listen.
Cookies is her poetry.
I'm the inspiration.
I know.
Not a few months ago, a poetry club started in on the other side of the hotel. We have today a couple of members of it, and Bruce, who founded the club. And I just want you to know, someone likes to listen to it, hear it, write it, play around, not get embarrassed or whatever. Come here. You meet every other Friday, right? Second Friday?
No, well,
Second and fourth Friday.
Where on the other side, where they meet?
It's in the event building, the hobby building, at 1:30. Leave a flyer, a couple of flyers over there.
It's changing, unfortunately,
It's
but
changing.
we currently meet the second and fourth Friday in the event room of the hobby building, but that will change later this month. We're getting a much nicer room in the rec ballroom. There's a recreation lounge, which I had to go behind doors to get us in there after I was initially denied. And that will be